Welcome to this section. After meshing the part, I must importing the instance of this part into the assembly models. And in the step model, I create a step with the static general procedure for solving this analyze. And the time period of this analyze is 1 second, and because I using of the rubber material with nonlinear geometry, I select NLGeom. And the initial increment size in this analyze is 0.01 second. Yeah, 1 second. The maximum number of increment is 10,000. That's it. Yeah, 10,000. Clicking OK. It's good. Clicking OK. Now I want to create a reference point in the center of this part and create a set of this reference point until using of this set after for loading, after for requesting the time history output. Create a I go to tools, reference point, and selecting a point in center of the geometry of this part. Now I have a reference point, tools, creating a set and set a type, geometry, continue, selecting the reference point that created before. Now I requesting output for result for this analyze in the file output request and editing file output request default that ABAQUS created. Editing and selecting and first unselecting contact and unselecting this strain type and selecting NE or nominal strain component. We're using after and creating and selecting the displacement and selecting force and OK. I'm requesting history output with the sets that I before create with the reference point. I changing domain to sets and selecting set 1, that is reference point, the center of this part. Now I'm selecting the direction 1, direction unit deflection, because the loading occurred into this direction. Let's see, it's good. Okay. In the interaction model, I must create a contact between the surface of this part. In the create interaction, I choose surf to surf method for selection. Choose continue. First, I must choose the master surface of this engine mount. After selecting the one surface, I holding the Shift on the keyboard until choosing another surface. All of the surface of the master is choose. Now I want to choosing the slave surface that must be on the stopper surface. After selecting a slave and master surface, I'm clicking on down, and selecting the sliding formulation, finite sliding, and the discretization method must be selected. Surf to surf, and I created a contact interaction property. Clicking on this. This property type must be contact. Continue. In the mechanical category, I select normal behavior, and in the normal behavior, I select hard in pressure over closure, and clicking on OK. This time I must create two rigid body for inner and outer bush. Before I creating a reference point for outer bush and selecting create constraint and choosing rigid body of this list as a type. Continue. In the region type, I select body and editing selection, and selecting inner bush. After changing region to skin, I selecting inner bush skin down, and selecting reference points of this rigid body, selecting these reference points. Okay. Outer bush rigid body must created. Now in the body I must skin up the outer bush down, and selecting reference point of the outer bush that created. Okay. Now I'm creating the all of the interaction of this part that require for analyzing. In the load step, I must create a loading and the band radical detection. First, I create a concentrated force in the reference point of inner bush. With the 1500 negative in the Y direction. After that, I am creating the band radical detection. First, outer bush that's concentrated in all directions. I selecting the reference point of this outer bush that has a rigid body, and selecting end cast. That's meaning of the constraining in all time, all direction. After that, I selecting the inner bush that have a movable in Y direction and constraining in another direction. Selecting down. All direction is constrained, except Y. Okay.